All right, Paulie, bro. I'm
I'm
glad you
back.
worked some magic over there. I was
Yeah,
really trying to
yeah.
have
No,
it.
I had what I had was is the live activity. I had it off, so I had to turn it on and then restart my phone.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Well,
So
you're here, so we're gonna
I'm
make
here.
this work. Listen, um, we got a few more minutes before we start losing viewers to
Yep,
the
yep,
Pacer game.
yep.
Not the Nick game, the Pacer game.
The
You heard? But let's introduce you first. I mean, you go by many names. You're Lefty Paulie, right?
no, I have one name.
You're
My
you're
nip is
Guav.
Paulie. It's not Polly. It's not
If you
Yaguar.
ask Doug
It's not
Sam, it's
Yaguari.
Polly. If you
Doug
ask
Sam
David
can.
Velez, it's Jaguari, right?
Yeah, I guess these are all my aliases, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just Paulie. It's always been Paulie. Nobody's ever had my name before, so
So Paulie, before you even get started with critiquing the current players, give them your resume, bro. Give them at least half the resume.
well,
Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know. What can I say? I mean, I started playing in '99. Started playing in tournaments in 2000. By I don't know 2002, I think. I want to say I started winning in the Bs 2003, 2004. I think. I don't know. I've never really kept count. Um, I was an open player by that time already. Um, and it was just, I've won. I think I've won pretty steadily throughout the last years, minus the years that I took off after I had my son. But even coming back and I feel bad that I stopped playing. And I didn't get to see like the guys that like I didn't see primetime Timbo do his whole thing. I did see primetime Timbo, but I saw him sort of like on the way out. I didn't see like Colleen in like Colleen and Pooch. I remember playing against them, and and I just didn't, I didn't really see where they came from to how good they really got.
Yeah.
By the time I really started playing against Colleen, he wasn't playing with Pooch anymore. He was playing with Taiwan and stuff. So I miss a lot, but life happens. What I'm gonna do. I'm fortunate to be able to come back and start winning again. I didn't, I talk to the guys a lot, and I'm like, yeah, maybe Timbo wouldn't have won as much if I kept playing, but
Damn.
who
Damn.
knows?
You could have
You know, I
prevented
mean, I mean,
vintage
again, I,
Timbo?
I mean, I came back in a year, and oddly enough, I beat him in a tournament, and then the year after, me and Justin beat him again, and so it's like, it was fun when I was playing a lot, and when I was younger, and before the hanging out and shit like that. Um, it was fun, man. Me and Pee Wee were a really good team, and even now, like we play a couple games here and there and stuff like that, But playing like you say, playing locally, which I play at 88 all the time. I still, I still get my games in, you know. But tournament Poli is I think is a bit different. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's a big um that's a big flaw right now in the bees. In the bees, it's like these guys and again, and I've heard this from a bunch of people like, yo, Poli, you hate on the bees and you don't like the bees and you don't like playing with the bees. And I don't have anything against the bees. I actually, I enjoy playing against them. They make me run. They're a lot younger than me. Um, it's just it's tough because what the bees were as the what they are now, it's like it's such a vast difference, and not to say that the bees were better. They just came up in a different upbringing, like and I had this conversation with 10th Finest when we were driving up when I believe when we were driving up to Philly, and he was like, yo, what do you think it's about the bees? And I'm just like, I don't think it's a B player or even a handball thing. It's this new generation of coddling, like what do we need a low B and a high B and an NW, like what, what is that? you know when I
Yeah.
was playing, like that was just something that, you know, was created in this generation to coddle people that weren't good enough for the entire group, right? So it's like, oh, well, you guys can't play in this event because you've won something. Well, I've been busting my ass to play and to get as good as I am. Why you're gonna make a division? You know, it doesn't really make any sense. You know, by the time I was playing, there was already a B division, when I started playing, the guys were like, "Oh, this B stuff is new." There was only open. So just imagine eliminating everything and just having open tournaments.
Yeah.
You know, it's that would cause Handball to die really, because you know nobody would ever play in events besides the people. You have two types of people. You have the guys that are competitors that want to play, and the amateurs that want to ruin somebody's day. That was, you know, when I was coming up, that was my goal. My goal was I just want to upset someone. I would just want to send them home. And it stuck with me because as a B player playing in the opens and the ABs and stuff, I didn't play with no tie. I've never played, you know, I played one tournament with Rook, and that's after he was already 50 years old. We were already older. You know, I never really played with someone that was already at the top of the game and stuff. I've always played with my boys. You
Yeah.
know, I want to say Pee Wee was probably the only person that was a top player, but by the time I played with him, I was already a top player as well. So it's like when I played in the Bs, I played with my brother, which a lot of the old guys know, and he's the reason why I became a pro, because we won the citywide. It was I think he was 19, I was 16 or 17. We won the Bs. The next year comes, and I'm no longer allowed to play in the Bs. I was going to play in the Bs with Jamie, and they were like, we went, signed up, everything was all good until we pulled up, and they were like, nah, Paulie won the Bs last year, so he's an A. He can't play in the Bs anymore. And what happened? We ended up winning the open doubles.
Yeah.
You know,
You and
so
you and Jamie.
me and Jamie, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, and we played, you know, he was my boy, bro. Like, you know, he's still one of my closest friends. You know, we go around, you know, he comes to the park sometimes, he plays and stuff like that. But, you know, we went from, you know, playing in the B singles against each other, playing in the B doubles, and then winning the B doubles, because it was just like, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it wasn't as competitive when we teamed up. You know, I was playing with a couple people, he was playing with a couple people, and we just sort of set up. And it's like his partner couldn't make it, and my partner, and we were just like, yo, let's just see what happens. Let's play. And it wasn't even close. I think we like under 10 every team and stuff. And we're like, all right, so this is a good business decision. So, you know, let's keep it going. You know? And then a couple years after that, when he moved, and he was just like, I still stuck it with him. You know, he moved to Northport, and now you're in Florida. You know where Northport is. There's not a handball court in 4 hours.
Yeah.
You know, and we still played together in the CPQ events in the open. And he was like, yo, I haven't hit a ball in months. I was like, it's all right, don't worry about it. We're just gonna go, we play. Our chemistry is there, you know. All the games that we played, all the big money games that we played, it was just something that even now, years later, where he doesn't play, you know, it's just the chemistry.
Yeah.
You know, doubles is chemistry more than skill, you know. And I think that, you know, that's why when people be like, oh, well, you're an A player because of doubles, it's like, I'm an A player because I beat the best of the best.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only reason.
So let's say you're a doctor right now. You are Dr. Yagual, right?
Okay.
And you had to diagnose at least one thing, not terminal, but just like a blanket statement for the current B division and what they're doing wrong. What's different or what's wrong? Give me like a general statement on what you think is wrong, besides the coddling, because I do agree with that. But like, what is wrong with the players? What are we missing?
I think it's multiple things, right? I think it's just the mentality of the division at this point. And I can even say it with the pros, because it's not only a B thing, it's also a pro thing. Like, to me, when I got my A card, I felt like my career just started. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still got so much to do. Like, yeah, singles was out of it. You know, I wouldn't even. I think I played in 5 singles events my entire career. You know, it didn't make sense. Um, but what I think is that sometimes, you know, again, and I don't. There, everybody plays for their own reasons. You know what I'm saying? I'm when I started playing, I wanted to play competitive. Everybody's not like me, you know, and it shows, right? But what I think the issue is that I feel that the B division, the B players, a big flaw that they have is that they don't really watch the pros in a sense where they try to learn strategy. You know what I'm saying? Like I think they more watch the pros in the sense that they want to mimic how they play or mimic their shots. And it's like, bro, I can't I can't sit here and train and coach and train someone because my shot is different than yours. We can line up if you line up all the lefties that we have. Everybody has a completely different game, nowhere near the same amount of games. So the only thing that we can do as the pros and what the bees players can take out of watching the pros play is seeing how they play with purpose and what they do with the ball and how do they create positions and seeing who sort of plays like them. You know what I'm saying? Because you're always going to have the best teams always have a strong player, what I call an active player, a player that needs to be active on the court, and then a support player. And that doesn't necessarily mean the weak side and the power side, right? When I mean support, a support player is just as important as the active player because there's some, you know, everybody sort of wants to be the strong player. Oh, I made all the points, and there's other people that sort of play their role and rather win. Like I much rather win than kill 90% of my shots because I could kill 90% of my shots, but I might lose the game. Now, if I know the person that I'm playing with and I know that they need to be active and be sort of involved in the game at all times, my job is to have them comfortable as possible, right? So, of course, as a support play, I do make points. You do make points because you're going to create certain shots for yourself. And as the active player is all over the place, your job is to help them so that they get as many easy shots. So you look at little Carlos, he likes running all over the place and hit everything on the hand with his backhand, with his right hand. So he needs somebody like that's why him and Edwin did so well when Edwin was playing. And even Taiwan and Edwin, the reason why they do so well is because Edwin knows his role. You know what I'm saying? He knows. He was like, yo, I don't need to kill all the shots. What I need to do is play my side, play my position, get Taiwan as many or get little Carlos as many setups as I can using my body. He's a big kid, so using my body where somebody behind them and they're always on the defense, that allows the active player to move up and get easy shots. So what happens is the B players feel like if they score all the points, they're the stronger player. You know, so it's crazy because this game that we play, it's like there's a lot of strategy involved, and I've learned when I was younger that somebody looking outside of the court watching people play, they're always going to give you better advice than your partner because outside looking in, you can see everything. You know, so there were guys that never really played handball. They would just come around to the tournaments to bet. But if you sit and you talk to them, they'll be like, yeah, this is your weakness. This is his weakness. This is what you like to do. This is your favorite shot. And you'll be like, damn, you would think you're an A. They were like, no, we just watch.
Yeah.
But, you know, we watch sports to not to learn, but just to see what's happening. So, you know, I think the B players, what's really lacking in their games and is just they don't play with purpose.
Yeah.
They just hit the ball and they just sort of like try to do this, hit the
Well,
ball hard.
I like what you said, right? What you said is the B players are watching the A players to mimic the shots,
yeah,
but not learn why those shots are happening.
correct,
Right?
or
So
when it's happening.
now, exactly. So now, when they're in the game and they see Timbo short hop kill it with his left, but he short hop killed it with his left because not only did he anticipate where the ball was going, he also boxed out his opponent at the same time.
And
then
he's
you
also
see,
comfortable.
and he's comfortable. And then you see these newer B players that are just short hopping shots with their left in the middle of a rally when it's uncalled for.
Right.
And they're
like,
oh, well, I see Timbo do it. And it's like,
right.
but you don't understand why Timbo did it.
Yeah. And sometimes, you know, a lot of the times, what I also think is that they don't realize they're doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't realize they're doing it. They just do it because they're so used to seeing it being done. They're like, all right, well, I got to work on my short sidearm short hop. Like, that's a crazy shot.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so, you know, it's tough because, you know, again, I don't have anything against the bees, you know, and I don't really talk too much shit about them because I understand that a lot of them, what I feel is a lot of them, they just play to play. You know what I'm saying? And it shows because sometimes, a lot of the time, the bees that do graduate into the pros might play one or two events and then they sort of disappear, you know? And it's almost like, sort of like when you're professional. So just imagine, you know, in baseball, you go from AAA and you make it to the majors. And then you're like, all right, I'm going to retire. Like, bro, your career just started.
Yeah.
You know, like this is when you're supposed to, like, you know, now you're going to have to play against the best of the best. And people are so like, oh, well, all I wanted to do is get my A card. So, and again, it just goes to show like a lot of their mind frames. And again, it's a lot of subconscious stuff that they don't see, you know, the same way that they play. They see Dabo running all the way back to the long line and try to kill it from the long line into the corner with his left. Now you're starting to see the same thing from the bees, you know, where you know the smart play or the smart move would be to move up and take it off the wall as opposed to letting it bounce and go for some crazy shot, because now you're playing for the highlight reel.
Yeah.
You know,
well, like,
and you become.
Yeah. I earlier, I'm reading the chat. I don't know. Don't read the chat because they're all coming for you. Yeah,
I know,
don't
it
read the chat.
happens.
Yeah.
I saw Yagualito,
But
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay. That's my ex.
That's the,
You know,
there's some jealousy there. I don't know what it is, man. There's some jealousy there. But one of the comments was Isaiah from Philly, who's also a lefty, and I know that he said it in a joking manner. But I also know, because that used to be my partner, right? We used to be an item, not anymore.
That was a thing.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
That was an old fling. But he said, "Teach me how to kill," right? And what's interesting is I've had this conversation with Isaiah a lot, right? And he shoots the ball really well. What's weird is his comfort zone is behind the player.
Correct.
He doesn't play in front. Now, one of the things that I tried to explain to him, and I'm asking you if I said the right thing to him. That's the reason why I'm talking. I said to him, I said, Zay, sometimes you generate such a good shot from the back where you don't shoot, and then they set it up, but you don't run up to take advantage of that setup.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
So like I was trying to give him that advice.
He did it when I watched him when he played in Philly. So here's the thing with that, right? You got to understand that so I understand why he plays like that, because at HP the ball dies out, and it showed when him and Casper beat Colin and Beer, right? They were hitting it and they were just shooting, right? But over there the ball dies out. So now you put him on a court where the ball doesn't die out. Now he's out of position 95% of the times. Also, I don't really see him be effective that way against pros. I saw a couple games against A players, and being in the back is the worst thing you can do, and it showed. You
Yeah.
know, so do I need to show him how to kill the ball? Absolutely not. He killed like 17 balls. You know, that the game with a beer. Also, what I've noticed about Isaiah is that he's a confidence player. So he has to get confident to start making shots. Rarely have I seen him get himself hyped. It's always his partner making some crazy shot. He screams, he starts making shots. You know, and again, there's nothing wrong with that because, you know, you learn, you know, like you sort of figure out ways how to hype yourself up, you know. And the thing with Zay is that he got good shots. He has poor positioning, but he's also has an advantage because he's lanky.
Yeah.
He's tall. So even if sometimes a lot of the times he's out of position, he still gets to the ball. His objective should be staying in front. If you could kill it from the back, then you're tall, and if you drive it near your body, the ball is going to come at you. You can treat it as such. Now you're killing the ball from the front, and you're big, and you know you're boxing people out. They got to go around you, so it just makes it a tougher shot. But again, that stuff that I saw looking inside the court, he probably doesn't see it. He probably is like, nah, I gotta back up and wind up. But you can wind up from the front too.
Yeah.
You know, just his shot selection is on the lower percentage. You know, because once you start getting into, you know, once you start playing against experienced guys, what's gonna happen is this: they're gonna let you shoot from the back. They're just gonna lob it to you, and they're gonna let you shoot. And then what's gonna happen is you're gonna start missing. Like you can't, and I tell this to people all the time, you can't be on fire all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to win when you're playing bad. If you can master that, then you're 5 points better than everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like if you master beating people when you're off and still playing comfortable, because now, you know, you have to sort of like adapt your game. Yo, my shots aren't coming out. Do I continuously go for my shot, or do I make the game easier where I can get a setup? Because it, you know, the confidence goes from 0 to 100. Once you hit one killer, now you're like, oh shit, I can hit 3 or 4 in a row. And sometimes that comes out of playing a really basic game, keeping position, and then getting that first one out. Because a lot of the times, especially in tournaments, you never want to give up points. So in the beginning of the game, everybody's sort of like feeling each other out. Now, if you come out the gate swinging and you're making it, that's fine. But it's a double-edged sword because you can run out of ammo real quick.
Yeah.
And then what you don't want to do is be up 10 points and then give the game because you didn't realize, all right, my shots were coming out, now they're not. Or the opposite team is adjusting to what I'm doing. So I'm not as comfortable. I'm not getting the same shot. You feel like you could kill the ball from anywhere, but you really can't.
Yeah.
It's tough. You know what I'm saying?
I like that. Yep. I got 3
Yeah.
points I want to go over. Again,
Yep.
the point of this live is to we're trying to help out. We're giving back right now. You're giving back. You're giving back. And I hope that players watch this, whether C, B, or A players, right? Because there's a lot of A players that need to learn how to play, right? So I'm going to ask you 3 things, and I want to know I want you to dissect what I'm asking,
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to explain the importance of it,
Okay.
right? The first one, and you kind of talked about all 3 already, but the first one is position.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about position in doubles in every single way you can think of.
It's okay. So, right. So again, I think position starts with your partner, right? So obviously you want to be in front. You want to, I think that now we're playing a game where a lot of people don't know when to take position and not to. They feel like they could just, you know, like inch their way into position. And now what happens is the lesser players are not really getting it. So, but they're arguing about it. And this is not just the B's. These are like the A's that they're like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, and it's just like, you can't do what you're doing. So I think learning the rules in the sense of knowing when to take position is probably one of the most important things to do, because now you know when to move in, when not to move in, when you have to move away. And what that does is it allows you to sort of broaden your game, right? Because sometimes you're not always going to have position. So how do I get position without being illegal?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, do I anticipate how much? Like, I know the conversation with Colleen was about anticipation. There's nothing wrong with anticipation, but how far can you go with it? You know, like, do you encroach? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you try to get position and try to anticipate too much, and now you're getting called out? But position, knowing your partner and where they like to stand is important, right? When I used to play with Josh, I knew exactly where he liked to feel the ball. Like, he would stay a little bit to the left from the middle. Well, a little bit, I want to say a little bit of right of the line, where he has like maybe like 2 feet in the court. And why? Is because, one, he knew that I like to shoot to the left. So if they're banging the ball in the middle and I go to the left, they have to run around him. 2, when they do get the shot to the left, he also has the drive and he likes to put it in front of him. So that's something that I've noticed. I was playing with him. So the games that we've lost, it's either he's too far left where I'm taking more and, you know, I'm going all over the place, or he's too in the middle and the left corner is open. You know what I'm saying? So towards the ending of the game, we're not making as many gets as we were before because we have to like run more. So now my object is to not get him out of position, and me sort of like holding my own on my side, because, you know, depending on who you're playing against, some people like going to the left, other people like going to the right. That's just the way it is, you know? So knowing where your partner likes to be, or even talking to them and saying, yo, if you stand here, here's where I like to shoot. Tell me what you like to do so I can be there. And now it's not illegal. So I know when we're in the volley, I can take a certain position. When you see me there, shoot. That's something that me and Jamie did super well. Because we always, very rare did the ball ever go in the middle where we were miscommunicating, and very rare were we out of position to where they hit the ball and none of us are there. You know, so you sort of have to figure out, okay, my partner he has this down the line with his left. Perfect. So I'm going to hit the ball towards him, or even on the right side of him, a little more towards the middle, so that when they hit the ball and they go to the left, he's already there. He doesn't really have to do much. He just has to put the ball down, right? So knowing, having court sense is huge. Knowing the court, knowing that position can come from a drive, a position come from a lob, which I think a lot of people have problem with, because a lot of people lob from the front. And it's just like, the point of the lob is to get in front, not to be in front and try to fake a killer and lob it, and now you're out of position. So, yeah, man, I mean, doubles is all about position. You know, I think that the team who usually has better position wins a game, because with better position comes being able to get to the ball easier. You're not exerting energy. You're getting more comfortable, because now if you don't really have to move much and you can put the ball away, then the game is just that much easier. And then you go further with your partner, because the more you sort of play position between each other, you literally start to run plays, you know, and it's just like, I'm going to hit it here. The ball's going to come back here. You do this, I do that. point.
I feel like no one realized, there's so few players that realize that you can run plays in handball.
Hmm.
100%. Now, that's a good segue because you just touched on it again,
Hmm.
and this is my second question. Chemistry.
Hmm. Well,
How
I'm just
important?
reading. I'm just reading Pete, right? He just said if you were playing with someone you've never played with before and you didn't know how they play, what would you would you say there's general way of team position? Right. So again, right, Pete? I think I touched on it a bit, right? Because what happens is because we're such a tight circuit, we know more or less how pretty much everybody plays, right? You can sit here and say Davo likes to do this, Taiwan likes to do that, Tall Rob likes to do this, Gerardo likes to play this way. He does these little spins, weird left ole shots. Brian Toro likes to serve it deep. He likes everything on the hand. So not playing with them, you sort of figure it out. And I think that one thing that players don't do, and this is something that the bees definitely don't do, is that they don't create a plan before they get into the game. They don't talk to each other. All they do is warm up and sort of try to figure out at least during the game, right? When as opposed to let's say me and Mix, when before we get on the court, we're talking about this is where we got to go. This is what we got to focus on. This is what we got to do. And this is how we have to play. And usually when we execute that plan, we win, you
Hmm.
know, unless, you know, we just get outplayed, right? A lot of people have said a lot of things about me and Migs not winning. And I've never been the type to blame anybody or assume blame. It's just I'm always the type that's been, well, we just got outplayed, right? We had shots, whether we miss them or we go for them. I don't really care about not going. I don't really care about missing a shot. I mostly care about giving the game away where we're not going for shots,
Yeah.
right? And I think that a lot of people, when it's crunch time, they don't pull the trigger. And for whatever reason, people don't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Whether it's a lot of people in the past have said, yo, you always cracking, you're never going to make the shot, whatever the case is, or they're just scared to think that, oh man, I missed that on point game. I'm the reason why we lost.
Hmm.
But, again, 1 point, I hate to bring it up, but right.
Don't do
In
it. Don't
Philly,
do it. Don't
in
do it.
Philly,
Don't
right?
do it. Don't do it, man. We're
You
doing
can't,
good right now.
this goes to show, right? Like they didn't lose because of that 1 point. They
There was
lost because
20 other points that were scored before that 1 point.
and you look back at the game, how many times did they get lobbed? How many times did they have the shot and didn't go for it? How many times did they have the right corner set, ready to go, and then try to drive it? Like Edwin is one of those players that you don't really want to drive it to him much because he's going to put everything back.
Hmm.
You want to drive it once, go for a shot. Drive it another, go for another shot. You got to make him work going back and forth, right? Because that's how you really get someone tired, having them go from here to chasing the ball. Oh shit! And now I'm getting lobbed. Now I got to run back. Now if his partner goes and gets the lob, his corner's open. So you sort of start creating stuff,
Yeah.
So again, man, knowing, sometimes it takes something as small as just a quick conversation. Yo, this is what we need to do
Yeah.
in order to be effective.
Yeah. What Pete asked, what I really like about Pete's question is that it tied a lot of the stuff we already talked about together,
Hmm.
right? And earlier you said there's the runner and then
Hmm.
there's the role player, right?
Right.
And a great team usually consists of both. In my
Hmm.
last live, I had talked about how I don't like a team that consists of two dominant players,
Correct.
right? I
Correct.
feel
Nobody.
like I've
No.
never seen it truly work.
Hmm.
Even with like, and it's funny because you think about like Gio and Davo, right? And those are two
Hmm.
dominant players, but their dynamic is Gio's the shooter on the weak side and Davo's the retriever. And it's like a weird combo of a runner but role player
Right.
with Gio playing the shooter, right? Like
Right.
he's the point guard on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess the shooting guard. But it also ties in the fact that when we talk about support players,
Mm-hmm.
what Pete asks is like, oh, if you've never played with someone, how do you
How do you know?
know
How do you know?
the
It's
the best support players in the game, right-handed support players? We
mm-hmm.
won't talk about lefties.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why they're the best is because
They
they
can
can
play with anybody.
mold with
Yep.
anyone, right?
Of
Think
course.
about
Of
Allen,
course.
Sam, Edwin, Nas,
Mm-hmm.
Surfer.
Well,
These
I wouldn't.
five
I wouldn't
players,
consider. I wouldn't
who
consider Nas a support player. I think that
really?
he hasn't. Yeah. I think that he has probably the best potential of being the next dominant like force to play. I love
Okay.
his game. I think that um I think that he's been boxed in and he's sort of taken that role, but you can see the way he plays on the weak side. And if he would use that same mentality on the power side and really like took on that role, it, you know, I'm happy, he's playing with the people that he's playing with because it makes him a lot more beatable,
So
you know.
you think he's got it? There's a shell
Oh
that
yeah.
he hasn't cut.
Oh yeah.
Wow, I
Yeah,
like that.
I think if he gets with the right support player that knows their role, and the kid, he's fast. He's probably, I want to say probably one of the fastest guys right now. Top two. Next to Tavo, I don't really see anybody being faster than Nas. His anticipation is great. He has really good core sense. I think the only thing that he's missing is that real confidence that he's like, yeah, like he knows he's a top player, but he doesn't really fit the shoes right now.
He's
He's like sort of
missing.
like
He's missing
he's
his
wearing
Lefty Paulie.
no, no, well, I mean, yeah, listen,
Listen, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be absolutely honest, and this is brutal honesty right now. Miggs was a terrible doubles player.
mhm.
Miggs won one open doubles with Vintage Timbo in the Nationals when Timbo won with Warrior Will an open
Yeah.
doubles, right?
Yeah.
And you broke that shell for
Hmm.
Miggs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
I
and
think we're
and you
just
got a couple
right. I mean,
wins and a couple final
yeah,
appearances.
yeah. And I mean, and again, we've gotten some really bad losses. The thing with me and Miggs is that so we played in a Buddha before. I forgot which one it was. It might have been like 5 or 4, something like that. And I forgot. I think we lost to Baseball Chris and Kadeem. From what I was told, I don't remember. I think it was somebody else, but that's what I was told. And it was one of those things where I guess at the time I really wasn't playing as much, and he was like, "Yo, let's play." And a lot of people would be like, "Not sure what you're doing. I think you can get somebody better. He's not really. He's a singles player. And to me, because I've taken a hold of my role, I feel that I bring out the best in players,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I know I'm support, right? So I think that now when I had the conversation before me and Mick started playing together, I was very adamant and I told him like, yo, listen, this isn't a one and done thing. If we're gonna play win or lose, we need to play for a year minimum, anywhere between a year to 2 to 3 years, right? Because let's say we didn't win the first tournament, now what? And we lose, to a Taiwan and Nas. Did that mean that we lost to two? Yeah, these kids been, they've been playing together for I don't know how long. You know what I'm saying? So the chemistry is there. So, um, you know, like going back to what we were talking about, it's like I knew the type of player that he is, and I was like, yo, I've actually told him do the opposite of what everybody's told you to do. Everybody's like, yo, you shoot too much, you shoot too much, and I go, no, you're not shooting enough for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to shoot more. And I don't care that you miss because I don't want, and I get it. I think I play a lot better crunch time. Towards the ending of the game, it really doesn't bother me. I actually enjoy it. Does that mean that I've never lost and never missed a shot or shanked a shot over the wall at point game? No. But what I definitely haven't done is gotten nervous to where just giving people the game.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to beat me.
Yeah.
One way or another. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, I caught Miggs in a good spot because, he just came back from his injury and he was like, yo, I want to win. And he was super focused to win. And sort of like, I think it was really important that we both played well together. To me, I was like, we got to win because, who else is there, right? Joshy dumped me, right? He got a better lefty. He was already doing his thing. And, it was just, I think Miggs, it gave me everything that I needed at the moment, right? I just needed someone that just makes a lot of gets, kills a lot of ball. I don't really care that he doesn't really know much about position or doubles because we can tweak that. We can fix that. And yeah, I think where Nas hasn't, I think that he's beginning to scratch the surface to his full potential, but I think that it's more mental. It's a lot more mental with him because he needs to realize I need a support player.
Mm-hmm.
I need somebody that's going to know their role. I need somebody that's going to set me up with some good shots. And, I'm just going to go for it. Like playing against him is the worst thing ever. I despise it, but when he plays with someone that he has to sort of sit back, it becomes easier.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because he's not that force that it's constantly in your face. He's going to the right. He's going to the left. His left is going cross court. He's lobbing it well and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that the moment that happens, that he's like, no, I'm gonna pick up a support player. I'm gonna be the power. I'm gonna be the leader because he also listens.
Yeah.
He's
There's
young. He has so much
not
time.
much ego. There's not much ego.
Right. It's more of, if anything, it's the opposite. I think that he's taken like sort of like the discouraged role, that he can't really like get to his potential because he's like, I don't know if he tries it, but maybe like over the years, I mean, again, playing with someone like Taiwan so many years, it's been like the Taiwan show, and it's always like, oh, he took sort of Nas under his wing, and everybody would tell me, and I'm like, as good as Taiwan is, man, like I think Nas hasn't. It's just not registering. And the moment that it registers, and he's like, yo, I'll get with, like, I don't know if Allen would help him, but if he gets with a really good support player where they can complement each other's game, he's he's gonna be winning for a while, and then
I like that.
yeah, I really
I like
do,
that.
man. I love his game, man. I love watching that kid play.
We're gonna talk. Duck Sam had a question.
Okay.
I saw it, but before I get to that question, I want to get to my last advice for the bees, right? And I have an opinion on this, but I want to know your opinion. How important is a serve in doubles?
So, I think so. That's a hard question, right? Because it also goes to who's on the court, right?
Uh-huh.
You get somebody like Little Eddie. Little Eddie he used his low punch serve to get a lot of easy setups. Then you look at a rookie who drove it high, deep to the long line and got a lot of setups. Then you look at Timbo. And Timbo's funny because he can go from serving it hard to just a simple lob serve. What I think is that as long as you keep it behind, close to the long line or close to the short line, you setting everything up. But again, it's a conversation, right? You look at Thabo. He tries to ace you. You pick up the ball, and then he drives the ball. It sort of like defeats the purpose of the serve, right?
Mm-hmm.
You serve it hard, it goes to the long line. They give you a weak return, and then you back all the way up. You give up the entire front, the entire position. For what? To get on 10's Finest, to get on YGN and stuff like that for a highlight, for a clip. I'm not saying that's why he does it and people like that do it. I think that over the course of time, they've just got accustomed to it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like it's just a bad
Mm-hmm.
shot, right? So the serve is only as good as the following
Mm-hmm.
shot. You know, if you can get a good serve, but then you hit it in the middle high where they can just sort of like move you out of your way. Because remember, if I'm serving the ball, I want the return,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's this your serve, your middle, your serve, your return. So if I'm serving it and then by the time the ball comes back to me, I'm out of position, it's a bad serve,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Or I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just playing without a purpose, right? So you look at guys like Brian Durant. He's perfect example of knowing what he's doing. He serves it short, he serves it low, and he has this low, deep serve
Mm-hmm.
to the long line. He's not moving back. He's looking where they're hitting the ball, and he's running forward because he knows you have to be a really good, like you have to get a really good lob for him to like back up. So, you know, the serve is going to dictate the entire volley, but it's only as good as, you know, the next shot.
Yeah. So, FYI,
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading the comments. There's quite a few A players in here that are not saying the serve is not important, but they're like, it's not as important as you think it should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
gotta be honest, I fully disagree. And I'm gonna give you my
Mm-hmm.
reason why,
Okay.
and maybe you'll see what I'm saying. I feel okay, Paulie, when you serve the ball, right,
Mm-hmm.
in doubles to a specific area or a specific person, in your head, are you anticipating how they're gonna return it?
Right. So I think I'm a little. It's hard to ask me that question, right? Because I'm lefty. You
Okay.
know, generally when people serve down the middle and the ball comes in the middle, it's my power hand and it's also my partner's power hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I try to do is I'm not comfortable, right? Everybody's comfortable in their own way of serving. I'm not really comfortable serving it to the right. Why? Because usually I'm playing against right-handed player.
Mm-hmm.
Very rare am I playing against a lefty where I got to serve it behind me. So why would I serve it to their power side, right? To
Mm-hmm.
their power hand. When I serve it, I mean, I've had the same um, strategy since I started playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to get in and out of the volley as quick as possible. So I try to serve it first. When I first start serving, I try to realize where whoever I'm playing, where they're returning the ball
Mm-hmm.
the majority of the time. So after like 3-4 serves, you know, they're sort of more or less giving you same return, right? So with me, I got the chop, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's usually going to the same place. So as I'm doing that, I try to start to figure out not more of depth, but how far to the left I should serve it or how far towards my side. Because now I'm either serving it to somebody's to the weak side's left hand, or I'm serving it to the power side's left hand,
Mm-hmm.
right? But as so this is me thinking what I'm thinking. When I start realizing that now the power side player is taking that serve with his right, I start adjusting. Now, I go into even more depth as I'm playing the game because I start to see certain players and how they play. Kadeem, bigger guys, taller guys, I aim for their chest. I aim for their middle, right here, because they're good out. You know, their wingspan is out. So if I serve it in there towards their chest, then they have to move. So the moment they have to shift over, I'm expecting either me or whoever I'm playing with just go for a shot. Whether if it's a drive or if it's a shot, it's a killer in front, make them run. When you reach a certain point where you know what you want to do with the game, and sometimes the game is driving the ball. People don't like it. When you see a certain shot that people don't like, then you start to figure it out. Okay, I'm just going to keep doing this over and over and over. And I think that's a big problem with what's happening with the new generation. They see something is wrong, they see a flaw, they attack it for a little while, and then they start doing other shit. And it's like, bro, you have, just keep doing it and you're gonna win easily.
Yeah.
No, but I want to do this and I want to,
I want to look flashy
and roll it.
Yeah.
And so it goes to, you can see in handball, whether they're pros, whether they're Bs, whatever, you can see who plays to win, because they're going to find something and they're just going right at it, and they might give up 6-7 points. They'll get 6-7 points, and they might get onto, they might catch on to the game, but you still go at it, because that's a weakness, so, yeah, man, I mean, the serve, I'm not saying it's the most important thing, but nothing beats a nice deep serve that hits the line, and they're moving back. There might be a crack on the line. It pops over the head. It rolls out. You can't beat that. It's an easy point.
I agree. Listen, again, comments are just, there's some really good ones, and then there's some that are coming at you. So we're gonna, before we get to Duck Sam's question again, I want to talk about Jose with an H, right?
Okay.
He said, Paulie, aka Older Duck Sam. Jose with an H almost won an amazing game in Philly.
Yes.
Why don't you tell Jose with an H what he did wrong?
Well, again, I think it goes down to just, that's mental. I think they were up like 16-5 or something like that, right? 16-6, some shit like that.
They were up by a lot.
They were up a lot. Again, not saying I personally didn't watch the game. From the few points that I saw, what I saw happening was a multitude of things, right? It was Gio and Tavo sort of like cruising, sort of like cruising in the beginning, thinking that, thinking the same thing a lot of players are going to think, right? The pros are going to look at the Bs and like, it's just there's going to be a time where they're just going to crack, and they're just not going to close. I've watched Hose with an H play, and I watched Nate play, and they play good. They had everything going for themselves. I think that at some point they probably just stopped doing what they were doing to get to the lead, or they allowed the antics and the arguing and the A player thing start really affecting them, like, and that's why I don't here's one thing we could find out: how many timeouts did they call?
See, that's what I said. I said,
so now
mistake.
You're up 10 points. You're up 10 points, and they make 6, and there's no timeout whatsoever. After 3, there should be a timeout. Because what happens is that people really don't realize is that even something like a wipe, where you slow the game down. Here's another thing, and this is probably one of the examples that I gave you before that we spoke about, where these B players aren't watching the A players to learn. They're just watching them to learn shots. So if the Gio and Tavo, the Gio and Julio, they like playing a fast-paced game. They like hitting it hard, whipping, killers, shot. They're running. They're going 150 miles per hour. So what happens? You slow the game down. Walk around the court a little. Yo, I need a wipe. Even if you don't, these little things, they're there. I mean, obviously, a wipe isn't there to break momentum or anything, but it's there for you to use, right? You come to a certain point where you get experience where you use these little things to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You know that they like a fast-paced game. You just made 16 points. What's stopping you from making 5? You know what I'm saying? So one question would be, how many timeouts did they have at the end of the game?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say they probably minimum they had 2.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt they called all 3 timeouts.
Mm-hmm.
But again, don't quote me on that. I don't know. Why do I think that why would I think that they would give up a lead like that? It's tough. It's tough. I really didn't see Julio and Gio and how they were playing. I know that they struggled. I know that they struggled all day.
Ho said we had all 3. Laugh out.
There you go, man. You know, there you go, man. You know, and that's again. So and things like this happen, right? And
You gotta
and I hope
learn
a lot
from
of
it.
a lot of people, and I've said this to countless of B players that, you know, I would be just relaxing or I'd be in Cerrigo or whatever, and they would just see me and they would just talk to me. And the guys that I've spoke to know what I feel and how I feel about the division. And they
Yeah.
know I don't have anything to do, you know, there's no hate. I don't think the Bees suck. I just think that they need to they need to figure out what type of player they are. Are you going to be a player that when you get your A card, you're just going to disappear? Nothing wrong with that. You know, a lot of people say, oh, they don't got no heart or whatever the case is. But again, people, what some people might take as the beginning of the journey, others might see that's my finish line.
Yeah.
You know, and you really can't say anything about
Yeah.
that because some people, they just play to play.
Yeah.
You know, I think that if you're going to play in tournaments, you should ride that wave all the way through to the pros because things like that won't happen. And again, you know, timeouts are important.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, and I've told this to a lot of guys, it's just like, you guys just let these people score 10 points in a row and never call a timeout. You know, and it's just like, you know,
Yeah.
how do you stop the snowball effect? You know, like how do you just cut it out? And that's one of the things that I've learned. I've learned that a lot of players and even the pros, they've all liked a fast-paced game.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm still effective, right? Because I don't have a fast game, and I don't rush to get the ball. I'm like, no, let me just walk around, you know, whatever. I'll just, because I know, you know, like my energy isn't as there. You know, let me lose a couple pounds and you know, then I'll be able to probably, you know, be at the same pace. But I you know, honestly, I wouldn't want to be at the same pace because that's just not my game. You know, one of the reasons that I'm probably the top player with the least views in games or clips or because I'm just not, I don't think my point is to just bore people to death.
Yeah.
And
Your
before
point is to win. That's it.
And before you know it, you lost.
Yeah.
And then, but then don't get me hyped either because then I can go on a spree. Then I might need a timeout. You know?
So
But,
let's talk about Duck Sam's comment, right?
okay.
The way he probably wrote it was grammatically incorrect.
Unless he did
6 words
ChatGPT.
misspelled. But basically, what he was asking is, how do you combat playing at another court where you're not? It's not home court. How do you feel about that? What do you do to get through that?
Listen, you play. There's no other way to put it, but you play. Every court dimensionally is the same, right? Every court is dimensionally the same. What isn't the same is your surroundings. Every you know, every wall isn't the same. You know, every line isn't the same. You know, you look at Philly. You know, I'm hoping by next year they can clean up those courts. You know what I'm saying? The walls are pretty bad. They haven't been that bad in a while, I'm assuming. So
They've gotten bad over
they've
time for
gotten
sure.
right, so um, you know, every court is different. The only thing that you can do is really much just play. You can go to a court that um that fits your game. You know, in regards to Doug Sam, there's not a court in the world that he would be good at. He's just a nut.
God damn.
So you can put him in a box, put him in four wall. He's gonna hit it out some way, somehow.
Oh, he's terrible in full wall.
Yeah. Come on, with that haircut.
How far do you think Doug Sam is from getting his A card?
Oh, he's going backwards. You know what I'm saying? He's going backwards. Yeah. He's going back to the C's. 100%. He's going back to the C's. He's walking back.
They're gonna the regression.
He's going against
the regression to the C's.
Yeah. He's going back there. He's going back.
You think he's the NWA? He's a nigga with attitude?
Yo, I don't know what he is. He's a nut with attitude. That's what he is.
Damn,
he's a nut with attitude. You know? But no, listen, all jokes aside, what I do give to Doug Sam is that he plays hard.
Yeah.
He sucks, but he does play hard. And I give it to him, bro. Because he gets into these games and you could tell he gives it his all. And it's just some people aren't built for handball.
Yeah.
He's built for I don't know.
For what? What would it be?
It'll be like mini golf or some shit.
He's got the body that when you need to fit into a small pipe somewhere to save a cat, right? You just put a little rope around his waist to pull him back out. You know what I mean?
Listen, if there's a truck, right, that's getting chased by cops, instead of the little spiky strips, he fits that you could just throw him at the truck, and pray for the best. He's like a speed bump. You know what I'm saying? He's like a speed bump. But he's like yeah, but he's cool, man. I love Sam, but yeah, man. I mean, there are some courts that I cannot. I don't like Castle Hill courts.
You don't?
I can't stand them. I don't like the way the ball comes off the wall. The speed. To me, it's all about the speed of the ball, right? Castle Hill has these courts.
He spelled body wrong.
Of course, he probably spells his name wrong.
This is diabolical.
But some courts are gonna favor you. Other courts are gonna not favor your game. Castle Hill is one of those courts where I would have to play there a couple of times in order to really be effective. You know what I'm saying? Because those are one of the courts.
Yeah, but you won a tournament there recently, no?
Yeah.
Who you beat in that tournament? Go ahead. Tell us the lineup real quick.
I beat who do we play? We played Sam and Jomar. Well, we played Lefty Heck and Mickey. Then we played Sam and Jomar. Then we played Taiwan and Nas. And then we played Los and Kadeem in the finals.
Damn, and you won that? That's a gauntlet.
Yeah. It's tough. I prefer events like that. I don't, I'm not here for easy games. I want to play.
You didn't get a Carlos Andrew and
nah.
You didn't. Yeah. You didn't get a Casper and fucking. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, again, I think that it just, again, I've been playing for such a long time. You sort of adjust to every court. You get to a certain place where if you swing a certain way, the ball's gonna go out. What I can say about some courts is the lines are important. I mean, you come to 88 and
you're him.
It's between me and Serge and Lefty Serge, we're him at these.
Okay. I'll be at 88 this July, bro. Me and you.
Yeah, but what it is like again, and I think that the bounce of the ball is important because that's going to determine how hard you hit the ball, how good your lobs are, you know, how how you serve, right? So now there's certain courts like Coney Island, the ball is the line. You got to pray to God that you return the ball.
Hmm.
99% of the times they hit the lines, it's either a point or a down. Nobody's returning it. You know, um, I see Colleen saying that I used to be there every week, right? Now, listen, I'm not saying that I didn't play there. What I said was I didn't like the courts. I go where the games are,
Yeah.
and I think I'm pretty sure you're gonna want to segue into that as well.
No, no, we're
But
not segueing. Listen, I'm hungry and my wife cooked, so we got like three more things we're gonna talk about
yeah,
real
yeah.
quick,
Okay,
real
got it.
quick,
Okay.
right? So the first one is talking about what we were just talking about, playing in another court.
Mhm.
I'm curious, when you're playing, do you hear the crowd or do you tune them out?
In the tournament,
Yes,
they're tuned out. I don't.
really.
Yeah, I hear them. I just don't listen. I hear, yo, let's go, Paulie, kill the ball, fuck them up. The only time I actually really lose focus is if somebody actually calls my name, and
Mm.
that's something that happened in Philly with with Brady. We were in the game, and it was just like they're cheering, everybody's cheering, and then he just said Paulie for whatever I forgot what he said. Um, and then I looked away, because obviously somebody's calling me, that I was like, yo, just chill, and it wasn't like a big
Yeah.
thing, but it was that's what it would take. It would take for somebody to actually call my name, um, or say something with my name in it,
Like not a
for me.
let's go Paulie is fine, but it's
That's fine. I
like
don't,
yo
but
Paulie
yeah,
like that,
yeah,
like it's just
yeah,
different.
So I don't really hear, and there have been times where people, again, you know, one of the um one of the most recent um experiences that is the Buddha. I didn't I was so tuned out and I was so focused on the game that I didn't even realize that I had point game.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It's just focus, man. I'm you know, tournament poll that comes in, and again, I don't come in playing around. I want to get in and out as quick as possible. And with that comes focus,
Mm.
right? And it's helped me because certain certain people that like to talk a lot, like to try to get into other people's head, it helped me because I don't, it doesn't bother me,
Yeah,
at no point does it bother
yeah.
me. I've understood that people cheer for me, people are going to cheer against me, people are going to do what they do. As I say, they're going to do what they do,
Hmm.
and for whatever reason. And over the course of time, I've had people that have been in my corner and have always wanted me to win and always cheer for me. And then I've had people that have always not cheered for me and
Hmm.
always were cheering for someone else for whatever reason. But that doesn't bother me. I'm there to play. Um, I'm there to win. I'm there to try my best. And I'm also there just trying to show people that you don't have to, as close as people are to the game and to the players, you don't have to listen to them.
Hmm.
I think that a big thing that a lot of the guys, don't have is focus. So they let the little things get to their head, and it affects their play, their effect. And I'm not gonna say it's never affected me. I just never shown it because
Yeah.
I've been to the point where I'm like, I want to just fucking kill somebody. And it tweaks my game. It fucks with my game a
Hmm.
bit as I'm playing because I get discouraged. Maybe I'm losing and it's like, yo, yo, and I'm just so like, I'm so mad. And this is one of the things, right? This is just a side note. People think that, you know, when, and I've gotten this a lot, where people be like, yo, it's just the faces that you make, because everybody knows I don't scream at anybody. Yo, the faces that you make and the little shit that you say, it bothers me as a partner or whatever. But I tell this to everybody. When I'm playing with someone and we don't win the volley, I'm not getting mad at you as a partner. So if you miss a shot, I'm not getting mad at you. I'm more upset that we didn't win the point. So I don't put blame on anybody. I'm more mad and I'm making faces because I'm like, yo, we had the volley and we didn't win. Regardless of what it was, whether I hit it out, whether I hit it under, I'm more harder on myself than I am on anybody because I know I hold myself to a level of play that I should be playing at this point. And I know that if I'm not playing at that level, I know that it's not because of the way I'm playing now. It's because I haven't been prepared going to this.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm again, I try to stay super focused.
Yeah. For me, I
I'm
have tunnel vision. I don't hear
hmm
nothing. I
hmm
can't even tell you how many times I've played a game. It's only my close games that really
yeah.
matter, right? Because anything that I get blown out or zipped, right, it don't matter. But my close games, I can't tell you how many times I've watched the video
hmm
and hear people and what they say to me, and I'm like, I didn't fucking hear that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Didn't hear it.
And then you see them after, and then you see somebody, and they were like, yo, they were talking mad shit about you, bro, and you chilling. He's like, I didn't hear it, bro.
I didn't hear
That's what
nothing.
happened. When they told me that it was I think it was like point 16 or point 15 that we had the Corys at the Buddha. I was like, really? I thought it was like 1916, 1917. I thought it was a lot closer than that. Never knew I had point game. And it was
Yeah,
just
that's interesting.
maybe that's one of the things why, usually I like to close out. Very rare do I lose a 21-20, like or I don't realize that's where we're at right now. I focus more when they have point game and
hmm
I'm down,
hmm
and it's just,
Yeah,
it
Kali,
just
look
is
at
what it is.
Kali. I hear everything in match energy. Yo, bro, it's terrible. It is, yo, Colleen will hear someone from the other court say, like, yo, he's got no right. And he looks right. Yo, so you go right to two for 1,000? Like, yo, I'm like, Colleen,
Yeah,
stop
yeah.
listening to people, bro.
But
Like, you don't got to listen to no
but
one.
you know what it is, and you look at example, right? I think me and Colleen are on different sides of the spectrum because he'll take that energy and his game will get better. You
hmm
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
As to me, if I would take that energy and I try to match, my game doesn't fit that.
yeah.
I'm gonna start trying to hit the ball as hard as I can. I'm hitting it out. I'm miscuing. I don't need that. I have a very calm, relaxing game. Um, and oddly enough, I like to play with people that are high intensity, you know, because I want people to see the two extremes, right? I want to see somebody that's screaming and like, yo, let's go. And then there's me,
hmm
like, yo, let's just play. And that's something that I think me and Biggs have gotten better on because he's the type that lets outside shit bother him. And I'm like, yo, bro, just stay with me, bro. Just stay with me. Trust you, bro. I'm like, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. And again, and I tell a lot of players, we're in a very sort of niche sport where the crowd is in your face. So if somebody's like, yo, look at fat ass Paulie, and it gets there. But I am fat.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm
Oh, you
here
got to hear
and
the fast
I'm
shit that I hear when
I'm
I'm
here.
watching the
No,
videos.
you know what I'm
I'm like,
saying?
damn, they were coming at me.
But the way I see it is like, yo, I'm in the semis, I'm in the finals. You're watching me. You know what I'm saying? So there's no really reason for me to even take that into account. And I think that a lot of the younger players, they focus a lot on the surroundings as opposed to just being in the game,
Yeah.
and 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 even some A players, like, you take
Mhm.
Gio. Gio will yell at you for cheering for him
Yeah, he did that at the at
at the
that
king of the
last
court. He
tournament.
does it. He does it every year. And
Jasenia,
and again,
Jasenia, she said it's situational, but she said she's even taking it personal when someone's cheering for like the other team, and she's like, that other team might do nothing, and I'm just matching energy.
well, again,
Ponytail Ed said, Colleen's in the zone when he's grinding his teeth.
yep. And he's growling and making these stupid noises. Going back to Jasenia, again, Jasenia is is like one of those players. She's on the opposite side. I think that, the girls need to realize if you're going to beat Jasenia, you have to like sort of bore her and make her feel like, even though she has that intensity where she keeps herself to a certain intensity that she always wants to win. If they can figure out how to just like sort of like bore her and just think that the game is easy and she could just fuck around, she'll take a couple L's. But
listen, that is just Senya,
just
right?
Ksenia. Yes,
Or you
just
call
Ksenia.
her Glisenia. You call her
I
Glisenia.
will
I'm
not call
Glizzy
her.
and that's
I will
Glisenia.
not.
Yo, you
I will
got
definitely not
listen.
call it that.
That's my
I will not.
counterpart for the females, man.
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
get it. I get it.
Listen,
So,
Colleen just asked a question that was on my list.
okay.
My last two questions, right? Because like I said, I'm hungry. So we're gonna end this, and the Pacer game is on. So
Yeah.
his question was, who's your favorite partner ever?
Ever? I don't know, man. I don't think.
Don't give me more than one. Who's your
one.
favorite partner, bro? You gotta have one.
My favorite partner has to be Jamie.
Okay.
I think that me and Jamie, I think because like, he's my bro, he's my best friend. I think that he's my favorite because not because of how much we won, but the way we won. Like we both got better at the same time. We both went to the top of the scene at the same time, and we beat the best teams, together, and we learned. I mean, I, besides my brother, like my actual brother who I played with in the juniors, I went winning B doubles, ABs, open doubles, whatever it was with Jamie as B players as juniors. You know what I'm saying? So, we had the most fun.
Yeah.
And I also think that he's my favorite because we got to play the Ray and Willies, the Pee Wee and Willies, the Rookie and Freds, the Rookie and Daves, the Rookie and Henry. Like we've gotten to play these teams that were, when we started playing together, these teams were already 10 years in. Not only were they, 15 years older than us, but they were, they started playing when we started playing together. And, they have 10 years of experience. They have 10 years of that grit of knowing what it takes to win a tournament and stuff like that. And I just had the most fun with him. We went to, those South Beach tournaments were absolutely crazy. And it was just a good time. You know what I'm saying? But
so my last question is, who is good night, baby. I'm getting off. Who is your favorite player?
Right now?
I'll ever. I'll allow you to do more than one if you have to. But ever, who is your favorite player?
My favorite player?
Yeah.
Oof, that's tough, man. So two people come to my mind, right off the jump. Rookie. Rookie. He's probably one of the best that I ever seen play one wall. It was more than his game. It was his attitude. It was his charisma. You know what I'm saying? And I think he's the most clutch player I've ever seen play. Like, I've seen him do things on the court when he's down and out, and for some weird reason, he just wills to win. He's just a fucking winner, and at point up, he's going for it. And a lot of the times he made it. And yeah, like everybody loses and stuff sometimes. And they miss and whatever, but he never cracked out. He was never scared. Like there were times where you're like, yo, by any means, you want to keep it away from this guy. And it sucks. It's really disheartening that he didn't play in this social media age, because he would have been he would have been a celebrity. He would have been 100%, bro. Just the way he is, the way he jokes around, the way and then it's a flip. It's just a switch. Once he gets into that game, it's like all jokes are done. Like we're here to fucking play, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And besides him, I want to say Lefty Willie, you know, Lefty Willie, he's just, I've learned my game from him. Between him and Lefty Irvin, um, I've learned a lot from Lefty Willie. I've spoken to Lefty Willie. We got really tight. He's just Mr. International, bro. He's the ambassador. He's the perfect ambassador of the sport. He
Mm-hmm.
plays a super honest game. He's never into the drama. And he's all business.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten to see play. I got to see him play, big blue, small ball, and just win. And again, he's just another player that just he was a winner. He knew how to win. He knew what he had to do. We would talk and we would talk shit and we would play against each other and stuff like that. And it would be no matter what. It was always competitive, but it was always a super clean, like it was always super clean and stuff like that. And he was just, I think, again, he's another person that I think that if he were to play in his peak during this whole social media age, he would be the one that, like would be like one of the ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the guys, 15 years ago. Yo, Paulie, you got to come overseas, bro. You got to come overseas. Trust me. You got me. I was like, why I'm going to go over there? I'm way better than them over here. I'm playing for competition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing to be the best. I regret it. My only regret in handball is that I didn't travel overseas at a younger age. I encourage guys, Petrie's going overseas, Julio's going overseas. These guys are just starting to do it. And I encourage these young kids, this younger generation to get out there because it's just it's a different world. It's something like I've never experienced.
That's
And I
awesome.
did it, and we did it for free.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Give me before we hang up this phone, give me one good thing about Artie baby.
Artie, I mean, he's probably one of the best insurance brokers that State Farm has ever polished. Artie's good, man. Artie's one of those players that he's intense. He will call you all the names on the court, but get off the court and take it to dinner and have fun. We always knew that it was, we know on the court Artie, off the court Artie. He was never really a dirty player, so he knew what it was. He knows that, sometimes, he was out of the way. But one thing that I know is that Artie can win and lose to anyone at any point.
Mm-hmm.
It's something weird when he starts doing like these like finger touch killers and you can't jam them.
Well, they don't even bounce.
Yeah,
they don't even bounce.
Yeah, and then the next game he loses, to Chino Hood.
Damn. Losing to Chino Hood is nasty work.
It's wild. It's pretty. Yeah. It's diabolical.
Damn. But listen, Paulie, this has been great.
Yeah, man.
I truly appreciate it. I hope that people watch this back, clip it up. Yagual 2.0. I hope that he learns from
Saeed,
this.
We'll touch on Saeed and these other guys.
Yeah, Saeed specifically to me has the most to gain from speaking to A players and Saeed and Tall Rob have the most to gain. Yeah, so I hope that they do it. I hope that they do it.
Sure, man.
But yeah, Paulie, this has been great. I appreciate you joining, figuring it out with your iPhone 11. Thank you guys, everybody that was watching. Thank you for everybody that sent stars. I see I got more stars here. I missed it whoever sent it, but thank you. Listen, I told Timbo he's next, right? He's next on the live for people to have questions for. So again, Paulie, I'm gonna leave you to end this live with what you do for a living and how you can help the community outside of handball.
I mean, everybody knows I'm a branch manager and a loan officer for mortgages. help people get houses, um, help people get loans for businesses, guys that need funding and stuff like that. Feel free to hit me up, anything. Um, Guys can just hit me up for whatever, dude. Whether it's business, whether it's someone that maybe looking for a house or wanting to open up a business. I've ran businesses. I funded businesses. I've done a whole bunch of stuff. Um, and again, man, if any of the guys want to just chop it up with me and even talk handball and anything. I know one of the ideas that we had was maybe we could do it next time if we could just start chopping up clips, and just talking about strategy, what the do's and don'ts of what should be happening and what shouldn't be happening. I love Saeed's clip with the short people walking in, you know. And I think things like that are important. I think that not calling someone out on what they do, but as a whole, just calling everybody out. I think that, a lot of people do a lot of things, and some people do it on purpose. Other people is just, I think with that rule, a lot of people just don't know the rule. So they just feel like once their partner hits the ball, they can just come in as long as they're not in the way. Again, I advise everybody to just go on the USHA website, download the free rule book. Going back to a little bit what Doug Sam was saying about small ball and big ball, the USHA rule book is the handball book. There's no other one out there. It doesn't cater to small ball or big ball. It's handball. It's one wall handball. So all you guys that ever say, oh, well, the rule book is for small ball players, no. Read it, enjoy it, understand it, talk about it. One of the things that a lot of the top players do is we know the rules, and it may seem that we're getting away with a lot more stuff than what we should. We just know the rules, and knowing the rules is part of the game.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And
yeah. Not Sam said it was a 4-wall rule book, bro. There's literally a separate 4-wall rule book.
Yeah,
literally.
Bro, listen, we are, we're gonna put them, we're gonna give them a helmet, and we're gonna put them on the little school buses and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, man, Paulie,
yeah, man.
thank you so much, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I want to shout out Jay
bro.
Beltran, Artie Baby, and my wife for sending me stars. I saw the transaction. I'm like 99 cents, and then boom, here comes the 99 stars. So, I'm paying myself for this live today, man. Appreciate it. Paulie, thank you for joining. Let's talk again soon. I appreciate everything that you said. I'm gonna end the live here, guys. Pete, we'll talk about Vegas on another live. I'll dedicate one just for you. All right, brother?
Perfect.
Thank you guys, everybody tuning in. Thank you, Paulie. Appreciate it.
Peace.